It's 9:05 at 97.5 Glory FM. Welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. And hi, everyone. Mike Wofford with you once again on a Saturday morning here at 97.5 Glory FM, talking high school, college, and pro sports until 10 o'clock this morning. We bring you high school football every week, and last night we had a big night. Enjoyed being with you for the final score last night, talking to a lot of coaches last night about all the games here in the local area. Had a lot of great games around the area. A lot of teams locally won their games last night. On the scoreboard from last night, the game you heard right here on 97.5 Glory FM, it was a battle of two top 10 ranked teams in the state, and both from Hall County, as it was North Hall defeating Cherokee Bluff 43-31, the final in that ball game. You'll hear highlights of the victory for North Hall over Cherokee Bluff from last night's game later on the show here this morning. Also from last night, Gainesville gets a win over Westlake 42-14. It was Fly Branch defeating Forsyth Central 38-7. Chestatee with a big win over West Hall by a final of 62-28. Also from last night, it was Towns County a winner over Lakeview Academy 34-18. It was East Hall defeating Johnson 55-12. Also from last night around the area, Lufkin County goes on the road. They defeat Hart County 19-14. It was White County falling to Habersham Central by a final of 17-3, and Dawson County falls on the road at East Jackson, with the Eagles winning that ball game 37-22, the final score in that ball game. In Forsyth County last night, it was North Forsyth falling to Lanier. Also, it was South Forsyth getting a win over Riverwood from last night. Central, of course, lost their game to Flyer Branch. West Forsyth also loses their game from last night. And local high school football action, Beaufort had the evening off. Also back on Thursday, it was Lanier Christian defeating the Riverside Prep Eagles by a score of 35-12. The final of that one, a big fourth quarter for the Lightning in that victory. And, of course, also there's college football taking place today here on 97.5 Glory FM. Coming up this evening at 7 o'clock live from Oxford, Mississippi, it is Ole Miss taking on Georgia State in the first game of the regular season. You'll hear all the action right here on 97.5 Glory FM with Dave Cohen and Harper LaBelle. The Panther pregame show begins at 7 o'clock. Kickoff the game will be at 7:30 p.m. coming up this evening right here on 97.5 Glory FM. Let's see if I can get things working here. Hopefully with my first commercial break of the show right here. And I do not have what I need to get going here, so let me get ready with another thing here. And we'll have much more for you coming up next here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM.
If you need to communicate to a lot of people, you need Gainesville Signs and Graphics. They are a full-service sign company. From consultation through construction, they'll handle all aspects of your sign needs. Political signs, banners, magnetics, monuments, subdivision and street signs, as well as vehicle and storefront graphics. So trust your sign needs to Gainesville Signs and Graphics. Check out their website at GainesvilleSignsandGraphics.com or call
Here's how things sounded last night with Joe Gilly bringing the play-by-play of high school football, the game between North Hall and Cherokee Bluff. As you can tell, wasn't really what I was doing here. Let me get the commercials back here ready to go, hopefully, here. And if I can get that going, that'll help a bunch. And until I do that, let me try this one more time here as we bring you the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM. So Blind Guy's working here as best I can here. See what we can do here right quick and have much more for you coming up next.
Graphics.com or
one of those mornings when nothing's going to work. So let me back up here. I should have been ready from that standpoint with my commercials, and I was not. So we'll get more going in here for you on 97.5 Glory FM. Your radio station for North Georgia sports, as I was talking about college football coming up this evening with Georgia State going up against Ole Miss today. It is the Sun Belt Conference going up against the SEC as Georgia goes up against Marshall. Bulldogs are a 35-point plus favorite to win that ball game. They'll play that one at 3:30 at Sanford Stadium, Dooley Field. Last night, Georgia Tech with a big 27-20 win over Colorado, defeating Deion Sanders' Buffaloes. Haynes King with a 45-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter, giving the Yellow Jackets the win over the Buffaloes. Have more details about that and more coming up next here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
At the start of the game, everyone wants to win.
Okay, let's get them on 3. 1, 2, 3, team!
In the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, everyone's a winner. Whether you're an athlete, coach, donor, or volunteer, you can help put the heart and soul in sports by impacting the world for Jesus Christ. Join FCA and stand in the winner's circle.
And that's the end of the game.
No matter what the scoreboard says. Learn more at fca.org. There is a common place for student athletes and coaches to go to strengthen their faith in Christ.
At my FCA huddle.
There's a place to be encouraged to face the trials and temptations of life.
At my FCA huddle.
There is a place to receive confidence to share the light of Christ.
At my FCA huddle.
His goal,
100 yards rushing.
our goal, to keep him in bounds.
Headed to the sidelines. Can he stay in bounds?
While he covers the play, we cover his heart with the Word of God. Because with the Bible as his playbook,
Touchdown!
he is certain to keep in bounds. Join the Fellowship of Christian Athletes as we strive to put the heart and soul in sports by impacting the world for Jesus Christ. To learn more, contact us at fca.org. That's fca.org.
Well, that's one of those blind moments here this morning, so bear with me. Thanks to Nathan helping me out here behind the scenes. We got much more for you next year on 97.5 Glory FM.
We will keep you cool, comfortable, and dry all summer long. Our family and team have been delivering reliable quality service for HVAC and plumbing when you need it for over 45 years. Give Conditioned Air Systems a call at 1-800-AC-REPAIR.
At Jackson EMC, innovation is an ongoing cycle, a process without a beginning or an end, where one idea leads to the next. Solar power, electric vehicle programs, energy-efficient right choice homes, automated switch technology. What we do as an industry is vital. We keep communities powered. So we must always have an eye on the future. Jackson EMC, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow.
The old saying is he stumbled, fumbled, rumbled, that kind of standpoint. So let's get things going back here on 97.5 Glory FM with the Saturday Morning Sports Show. As last night you heard right here on 97.5 Glory FM, North Hall defeating Cherokee Bluff by a final of 43-14. Let's hear some of the highlights now with Joe Gailey. First touchdown comes in the first quarter. North Hall got the opening kickoff, and they went 70 yards on 9 plays and scored this way.
Sleeman hands off to, no, he keeps it himself. Touchdown, walks in the end zone, untouched for a 2-yard touchdown. Alex Sleeman.
What a fake.
They hit the 2-point PAT on a little pass play, and it was 8-0 North Hall in the first drive of the ball game. Then the two teams, they traded interceptions, and Cherokee Bluff had the ball, and they end up getting the score on a big trick play.
A slot and one running back. Dean back there, hands it off, pitches it back to Dean. Dean, the flea flicker, throws it long, got a man, caught it, knuckle miss out for a 50-yard bomb. The flea flicker worked.
And just like that, it was 8-7 after the PAT. Then North Hall took the lead once again, and they had a big play.
Cooper Dean's going to take it and rolls into the end zone, and then did he get it? Yeah,
Nope,
touchdown.
Well, missed one there.
Bluff.
So that was after North Hall had taken the lead once again. Bluff comes back, and then they make it 15-14 after that point. And then North Hall takes the lead again in the first half.
2nd and 2. McGarvey across the 50, got the first down. 45-40, 35-30, 25-20. You got to outrun a guy. He does. Touchdown, North Hall. No laundry on the field.
Ended up being 22-14 at that point of the ball game. Then the last play of the first half, it was Cherokee Bluff hitting a 45-yard field goal and made it 22-17 going into the halftime break. And then it was North Hall once again scoring another touchdown to take a bigger lead in the second half.
Got Ty Kemp on the near side, 4 wide outs. Sleeman back, looking, throwing for Kemp. Kemp over the top, complete, down inside the 10, touchdown, Trojans!
Oh, they got one.
And that's how it ended up really being the rest of the way for North Hall. They led 36-24 at one point after Cherokee Bluff does score a touchdown there in the second half. And then Cherokee Bluff was rolling into the fourth quarter of play, trailing at that point 36-24. They had a chance to take the touchdown and make it a 5-point game, 36-31. But North Hall held them on fourth down, and then the Trojans went down and they scored, and making it at that point 43-24. The Bluff does score one more touchdown. Final score was 43-31. Big nights, both teams. Cooper Dean with a big night as the quarterback for Cherokee Bluff from last night. And you heard a couple of the big names there as they were having a big night passing the football. North Hall held the Bluff to only 77 yards of rushing. That was one of the big keys in my mind in the ball game from last night. For North Hall, they had a record-setting nights from their quarterback with Alex Sleeman and also with Smith McGarvey. A big night by Ty Kemp, who had 3 touchdowns receiving last night, and North Hall able to do the job over 100 yards again, rushing for their running backs. They had 4 running backs basically doing the job for the Trojans from last night. So Cherokee Bluff drops to 2-1 overall in the season. They're back at home. Next week they'll take on Habersham Central, while it be North Hall traveling to East Hall next week here on 97.5 Glory FM for week number 3 of the season for Sean Pender's team. They are 2-0 to start the 2025 campaign. Also from last night, it was Gainesville defeating the Westlake Lions out of Atlanta 42-14, the final in that ball game. You heard from Coach Josh Niblett last night, and they started out strong last night for Gainesville, jumping out to that 6-touchdown lead. And then it was the Westlake team scoring a couple of late touchdowns last night to make it 42-14. Gainesville rolling. They're 3-0 on the season. They're back in action coming up next week. Also a big game you heard from Stuart Cunningham last night from Chestatee with the War Eagles defeating West Hall 62-28. Second loss of the season for Naji Lions team from West Hall. Both of those losses coming against Wing T teams in Seconder and in Chestatee. Talking with Coach Stuart Cunningham last night on the final score, talking about it was a wild first quarter of play for both teams, scoring a lot of points from last night. And it was a big game running the football for Ben Plemons last night for the War Eagles as they end up winning the ball game in a big way, 62-28, the final score in that game. Also, you heard from John Thompson, the assistant coach at Flowery Branch, as they were victorious over Forsyth Central by a final score of 38-7. First home game of the season for Michael Perry's team. They're now 2-1 on the young season. They're back in action coming up next Friday. They'll play Hart County down at Flowery Branch coming up next week. It was Lakeview Academy on the road in Hiawassee. They fall to Towns County 34-18. Now the Lions are 1-2 on the season, and let's see how they can regroup going into next week's ball game for Lee Coleman's team. Also around the area, East Hall got a big night, really from everybody. Their running game, also the passing game with Jamarcus Harrison, rolling past the Johnson Knights last night by a final of 55-12. The final in that ball game, and the Vikings now 2-1 on the young season. Also around the area from last night, Dawson County sort of surprised me from last night. There was a player, Brant Callahan, over at East Jackson, carried the football just 4 times, ran for 185 yards last night. Gunnar Weaver, the quarterback for the Tigers of Dawson County, had a couple of touchdowns passing the football last night for the Tigers, but it was all East Jackson in a big way last night as they were victorious over Dawson County 37-22. You heard from Coach Heath Webb last night in Lumpkin County as they went on the road to Hart County. The defense allowed just 1 touchdown last night. Noah Matthews doing the job offensively for the Indians, and they win 19-14 last night. It was Habersham Central defeating White County 17-3. Warriors still winless on the season. They're 0-2 so far. And again, next week right here on 97.5 Glory FM, we'll bring you the game between North Hall and East Hall, the 60th edition of that big rivalry dating back to 1957. They'll renew it coming up on Friday night. Dave Cohen filling in for Joe Galey. So it'll be the voice of the Panthers, Dave Cohen, Harper LaBelle, Gary Glenn, and I to bring you the play-by-play here on 97.5 Glory FM from East Hall Stadium with the Long Street Cafe pregame show. Starting at 7:05, kick will be at 7:30 p.m. here on your home for North Georgia Sports, 97.5 Glory FM. We've got much more for you with you until 10. We're going to talk fishing, college football, pro football, still to come here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
This is Matt Nix, president of Duplicating Products. Our local business has served Northeast Georgia with trusted office equipment and local service support for over 50 years. We're proud to support high school football and proud to help businesses stay up and running with fast personal service. As the region's largest independent Canon, Ricoh, and HP dealer, we offer the industry's best equipment backed by real local people. When your copier or printer goes down, we're there fast. Visit duplicatingproducts.com. We're local and ready to serve you.
It's kickoff time, Gainesville, and Hardy Chevrolet has the winning lineup you've been waiting for. From rugged Silverados to family-ready SUVs, our inventory is stacked for every game. And customer service? It's always first string. Visit Hardy Chevrolet at 2115 Brownsbridge Road, Gainesville, Georgia. Hardy Chevrolet, where you're always part of the hometown team. Together, let's drive.
Siphon Logistics' commitment is to provide you, the customer, with on-time pickup and delivery every time. Members of the Siphon family have been in the transportation business since 1984. The Siphon Logistics transportation professionals are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing maximum flexibility and options to produce the most successful shipping arrangements. Call Siphon Logistics at 770-287-8485 and take a look at their website at siphonlogistics.com.
Hey folks, this is Jeff Dale. Wanted to welcome you to Friday Night Football in North Georgia. The game is on tonight. I wanted you to know I'm in the game with an HVAC business called Optimum Mechanical. We specialize in residential and commercial HVAC. Service, replacement, new construction. Let us help you on your next project. Optimum Mechanical, 678-780-7251.
Live radio at its very best here on 97.5 Glory FM. Sometimes it works out. I was trying to work out with different people to talk to this morning. So far, it has not happened. I'll be waking up both Dave Cohen and Harper LaBelle in a few minutes. They're an hour behind us out in Oxford, Mississippi as they get ready for their day, get ready for college football action here on 97.5 Glory FM. I'll talk to them coming up next half hour. Also going to talk to our friend Brandon Whitesides, who is a big fisherman here locally. He's going to talk about fishing on Lake Lanier. And hopefully get a chance to talk to a coach here. Trying to work it with a couple of guys I've been trying to reach here this morning. We talked to a lot of guys last night. Talked to 6 different coaches last night on the final score here on 97.5 Glory FM. And today we'll talk college football action as it will be Georgia going up against Marshall in the first game of the season. Marshall, I think, may finish in the cellar in the Sun Belt Conference East Division after they have their coach left and took a lot of players with them. So it's basically a brand new team there at Marshall this year. They're taking on Georgia at Sanford Stadium starting at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. As you heard, Texas, number one in the nation in the SEC. They go up against Ohio State from the Big Ten this afternoon at 12 o'clock noon. And tonight here on 97.5 Glory FM, college football for the first time this season, as it will be Georgia State. They'll go up against Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's team, and they're a 35-point-plus pick to defeat Georgia State. But I always say, remember Tennessee. That's the big thing there. So we'll see what happens from that standpoint coming up this evening. This is coming up next. I'll have an interview for you, and it's up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. And one of the people I was trying to talk to, he is with us right now. Our friend Brandon Whitesides is with us this morning. Hey there, Captain.
Mike, how's it going today?
I am blessed. Glad to have you with us once again, Brandon. How's it going, buddy?
Man, it's good. Not fishing quite as much as I want to, but definitely been fishing. And I'm telling you what, it's Labor Day weekend. The weather is beautiful. If you need to get out and clear your head, do something fun with your family, you need to go fishing right now on Lanier. The bite is on fire.
So tell me something. If I need to, I can rent your boat pretty cheaply, can
I? Well, for you, it's free, Mike.
I appreciate that very much. Because like I say, you're not able to get out the lake like you want to from that standpoint. But tell you what, you talked about earlier this year when you were with us about sometimes you just throw anything into the water and you can catch a fish.
Yeah, that particularly with the spring bite. But let me tell you what's going on right now. So, if you look at Lake Lanier, right? So we got 38,000 acres. But if you divide the lake into thirds, the bottom 1/3 is the deepest. It has the coolest water. And so what happens in the summer and what's been going on is pretty much every last striped bass larger than 10 pounds migrates to the bottom 1/3 of the lake because the water's cooler, it's more oxygenated. And so these fish have really been stacking up in the river channel. So drop down blueback herring to them. Once you graph them, you can do trolling and things like that. But, yeah, they're really stacked up down there right now.
So how busy is the lake right now?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a busy summer. But now that school's back in session, of course, we got this holiday weekend, but now that school's back in session, like the boats aren't out there like I've normally seen them. Of course, this weekend's going to be crazy. But if you can get out early, there are fish to be had.
So what kind of recommendations do you have for us this weekend, Brandon?
All right, so go to Hammond's, go to Oakwood Bait and Tackle, go to Sherry's, and try to find you the liveliest blueback herring you can find. That's all you need. That's what the fish are feeding on right now. And you drop those baits down. It's about a 4 or 5 foot fluorocarbon leader with a 2 ounce egg sinker, okay?
Okay.
And you just hold on. Okay? If the fish won't respond to that, you get that reaction by trolling through them with lead core or like a Captain Max umbrella rig.
So what's that? I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay. So the umbrella rig is it's 4 arms, and it mimics a school of fish, and you just slow troll it through the stripers that you're graphing.
Oh, wow.
And again, if they're not actively, going after the live bait, they will hit that as a reaction bite. And one of the things too, Mike, of course, this week it will be a little bit challenging, but the afternoon bite has been really good once the dam is open and they're generating water.
Okay. That makes sense from that standpoint. So how deep are they again?
So, I mean, you're fishing over the main river channel, so you're over 120 to 150 feet of water, but what you'll see is those stripers stacking up at like 35, 40 feet down in the water column.
Wow. Because
of the thermocline. And that's a whole other topic in itself right there, talking about that thermocline, how the lake the stratification of the lake in the summer, and of course the lake turns over in the fall as that surface water cools and sinks and it pushes the water up from the bottom. So I can really explain that next Saturday, Mike.
Okay, that'd be great. So we'll have him on a regular basis here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM because we know there's so many people out there fishing. Hey, do you know yet, is the high schools, are they basically just a spring sport, or are they even doing things in the fall? Do you know?
It's year-round. All right, so these high school guys, these young men, they get on these circuits and they go year-round because there are fish to be caught year-round. The teams aren't necessarily like football or baseball. as we had some of those guests on, Mike, in the past, it's year-round. It's kind of self-guided. You've got a coach at the high school, but, yeah, these kids are fishing right now.
So tell me, is it people who are interested in fishing, I know you can give people suggestions about what to do. So you do any guide work out there on the lake right now?
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of guide work on the side. The corporate world has me
busy.
Distracted a little. Yeah, busy. But, I will always be out on that lake every second I can get out there.
Well, I know you know the lake like the back of your hand. That's what's amazing to me when people go out in the lake and they can tell you exactly where you are. And that's what Brandon can do from that standpoint. So you mentioned the south part of the lake is the busiest when it comes to the catching the fish. How about in the other parts of the lake?
Well, so the thing with the striped bass, right? So that's what I primarily target.
Sure.
Striped bass, it's a big fish. They need cold water. They need oxygenated water. The spotted bass, not so much. So you'll see the spotted bass scattered throughout the entire lake. I mean, from the dam all the way up to past Lula, for example.
Really?
Spotted bass, yeah, they're structure-oriented. They sit on those brush piles. They don't need as much oxygen. They're not as big as the striped bass, but those big striped bass, those 10, 15, 20-pounders, they got to have that cold, oxygenated water. And so that's why you'll find them on the bottom one-third of the lake this time of year. And this is widely known. So you'll see the bass boats, the bass fishermen, they're all over the lake, 12 months a year. But the striper folks, we're down on the south end, starting, I'd say, June 1st all the way to September 30th.
So how cold is the lake right now?
So the surface temperatures actually are, this summer has been unique, Mike, right? So the summer started out hot, right, or what we're used to in terms of hot for Georgia, but then it cooled off. I mean, I remember, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, man, this feels like October. So what that did is it caused the surface temperature of the lake to cool down. Normally it runs upper 80s, low 90s. Man, this water temperature was in the upper 70s. So stuff that you would see like in October, we saw, and we're seeing right now. So the lake has cooled off just because of these mild, cooler temperatures, which we're not used to seeing. And what that does is that really fires up the bite.
So tell me about the feeding habits before I let you go this morning. You say that sometimes they won't feed on the live bait, and so you have to go to the artificial bait. So why would they not go ahead and snack on the food you send them down there with the live bait?
I don't know, man. It's almost like this, Mike. Think about it. All right, we eat breakfast at 7:30.
Yes.
Or 7 or 8. Okay. Lunch is at noon, and dinner is at 5, 6, or 7, right? So,
right.
So as humans, we have like these predefined feeding periods. And I think, Mike, it's just because how we're made by God, and I don't know how we've been conditioned. Fish are different. There's so many variables. There's current, there's wind, there's barometric pressure, there's where is the moon. It's something that even the best fishermen can't figure out. So, I mean, based on where the moon is, yeah, you can predict when the fish want to eat, but it's kind of like if I ate 3 hours ago, whatever I ate, and you put a donut in front of me an hour later, it doesn't mean I'm going to eat it. And fish are no different. So it continues to be a science to figure out feeding habits and patterns, and there's a lot of work that's been done. There's a lot of knowledge out there. But, yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, I think I talked about this in the spring, when the dam, so down there, on the south end of the lake, they open up that dam in the afternoons to generate power. It creates an underwater current. It stirs the bait around, and a lot of times this time of year, that's when you'll get the best bite. I don't know everything about it. I know a little bit about it, but it's tricky, man. But in the summer, a lot of times you don't have to get out. Now in the spring, other parts of the year, you do get up early and go. But in the summer, the fish are deep. They're 35 feet down in the water column. The light isn't going all the way down there, so it's almost like the fish, they don't care if it's morning or evening. It's kind of dark and cold down there, but there's just a lot of variables that determine when they want to bite something that you put in front of their face.
All right, so how big are the fish right now that you're catching?
15, nothing really more than 20 pounds. Those big fish tend to be elusive in the summer. In the spring, they're up, particularly the big females, on that fall spawn, but This year, I would say between 10 and 15 pounds.
All right, so for another time, we'll talk about maybe some recipes you have about how to cook the best type of fish there when you catch them, because that's a lot of food right there in my mind, buddy.
Well, yeah. So for that call, I got to get my wife on the phone.
We'll see what we do about that in the future. Okay?
I catch them, Mike. She cooks them.
Okay, you catch them, you clean them, and she cooks them. That's how the story
Yeah,
is.
She's got the hard part. I got the fun part.
So tell me about. Does everybody know about your quest to become a true captain?
Yeah, I mean, if I look back, Mike, on kind of my career and credentials that I've had and tests I've had to study for and pass or whatever, I can tell you to become a United States Coast Guard captain, the licensing requirements, I was like, man, it's almost like trying to get into law enforcement, right? You got to have your stuff together, and you have to know what you're doing. And these tests, Mike, there's 4 sections I've been working on. I've got two of them out of the way. So there's what they call deck general, navigation general, international and inland rules, and then charting and plotting. So charting and plotting is something I was like, really? I mean, we have GPS, we have all this technology on our boat, but the instructor was like, okay, fine, you're offshore and you can't see land, okay? And
where am I?
You lose power on your boat and your GPS goes out, okay? And all you have is a handheld compass. Okay, well, how do you get back to land safely if you have lives on board? So it is honestly like, all right, you picture a map and a candle and a sailor back in the day with a compass and a slide rule. You chart. You absolutely chart. You get your compass bearings, and then you chart from there. So, when I was probably 18, I would have nailed this, but I'm telling you, it's tough. It's going to be rewarding and tough.
All right, so I'll still call you captain from that standpoint, okay? We'll talk next week, okay? I appreciate very much for being with us here. Go out and catch some fish this weekend. Have a good, safe Labor Day holiday, okay?
Okay, you too, Mike.
I appreciate it very much. That is Brandon Whitesides. He is our fishing expert here on 97.5 Glory FM on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Coming up next, we'll talk with Harper LaBelle and Dave Cohen here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
EMC Security.
Hey, it's Coach Mark Richt here. Everyone knows defense wins championships. And if you're not using EMC Security to defend your home and family, you need to step up your game. With EMC Security's no contract and local service, they are a clear number one. So give them a call or visit them online at emcsecurity.com. That's emcsecurity.com.
EMC Security. Smart protection for a safer tomorrow.
Back to school shouldn't mean back to the doctor. Make sure you go to Riverside Pharmacy for all of your health needs. They have everything from hand sanitizers to all of the vitamins you'll need. But if your child does get sick, then the expert pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy can get your family back to school by filling all of your prescriptions. They'll even deliver them in the Gainesville area. Riverside Pharmacy across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
We're back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. Mike Warford with you until the top of the hour. Had a slow start this morning, but I've got now Harper LaBelle on the phone with us here live from Oxford, Mississippi to talk some football this morning. Hey there, Harper.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I am much better now, sir. How's the weather in Oxford, Mississippi?
Well, I don't want to complain, but, the trip out here and everything, it's still August, isn't it, Mike? And it's supposed to be super hot and humid and all that, but it's really neither. It's warm, don't get me wrong, but...
football weather?
Well, it depends. I mean, it's ideal football weather if you're used to it being 10 degrees warmer in the summer, but again, I'm not complaining. Not at all.
Okay. So you're in Tooie land, we call it there at Ole Miss now, coming up this evening. So let's talk.
Well, we're in Memphis. We landed in Memphis.
You haven't gone there, so you're still in Memphis. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. We went to Rendezvous last night, and Dave ate 3 plates of beef and ribs, and he's still hungry. He's licking his chops right now. He's got barbecue sauce all over.
I hear the barbecue is the thing to eat there in Memphis.
Yeah. If you're a local here and you don't eat barbecue, they'll kick you out of town.
So how far is Oxford from Memphis?
It's about a 45-minute drive.
Oh, it's not bad at all. Okay.
No, yeah.
So it's just a suburb almost from that standpoint. Like go from your house to Center Park, isn't it?
Well, I think there's a little more country and a lot more possums on the road in between Memphis and Oxford than there is between the Atlanta airport and Gainesville, Georgia. Let's put it that way.
So you didn't get a chance to watch any college football last night when you were partying in Memphis, did you?
Little bits and pieces. Dave didn't want to see the Tech game. I didn't want Colorado to win, so we had a little rivalry. Who do we hate more? Appy State, they won last night to beat Charlotte. So there were a couple of games
big win.
Were of interest for us, but actually, right now, Mike, I like you. I love you more than I like ESPN right now because they're doing the special on Lee Corso, the live, the first one. I'll see it later, but what a great moment for college football to pay homage to a guy that, as a player and a coach, and then obviously as a broadcaster, a guy who really made the game fun again to watch. And you always wondered which mascot he was going to put on his head at the end of the game, or the Ticonderoga. He used to work for Ticonderoga. He made pencils back in in his early days, and that's why he's so loyal to that brand. And he would always have that pencil. There was a deep significance to him, and he let it be a part of our lives too. So
the thing about with him is that really that show they had was sometimes better than the football game you might see on TV on ESPN.
It made you want to watch a little bit more, didn't it?
Sure did.
It's kind of like you and I are old enough to remember the old Johnny Carson shows where you never wanted to follow the kid or the Animal Act that was on because you knew you were going to be in trouble. And it's hard to follow Lee Corso and the funny it was hard to follow John Madden.
Oh sure.
I can tell you personally, coaches that would repeat things that he would say, and then the guy goes up like this, and boom, that was Madden's shtick.
Oh, yes.
He just talked like he was still coaching.
Yep.
And people fell in love with it, and coaches especially. And I think Lee had the same ability to connect with folks, and for obvious reasons, a treasure for American college football.
Well, he also coached pro football too, didn't he?
I don't remember that. If he did,
wouldn't it like the World League or the USFL? It's one of those.
There you go. You might, yeah, absolutely. But Lou Holtz coached the New York Jets for a year.
Yes, sir.
Didn't work out, and he created a fight song. Everybody had a fight song. That "Love You Blue," Houston had one, and Washington had "Hail to the Redskins," and he wanted one for the Jets. And he got up and sang it, and nobody followed along. And Joe Namath realized he was losing the room and didn't want him to do that forever. So Joe stood up and sang the song with Lee, and then everybody on the team did it. That was with Lou, excuse me. And just one of those goofy little moments that happened that very few people know about.
Well, how about getting ready for the NFL season next week? So where are you hearing about the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, Mike, my 3-word answer for the Falcons right now is I don't know. No one does because nobody played. I didn't get to see anybody that I wanted to. Offensively, you got all these. I'm going to steal one of Dave's words: a juggernaut of offensive talent out there. You had new center and Ryan Newsel, but Lindstrom and Bergeron and Matthews are guys that we all know. I will say this: I don't know if Caleb McGarry is going to be ready. I think he's on the IR, and that's for 4 weeks, so it's serious. But is it surgery serious? I don't know that. And what are they going to do there? But Michael Penix, Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, didn't get to see any of those guys. So I don't know what we're going to do. And defensively, you got another injury, right? Braylon Trice gets hurt again. still hasn't played it down for us, and he may not this season. He's another guy that they got to figure out whether or not he's going to be under the knife and have a second surgery. And Troy Anderson is out, so I don't know. But if you're not ready for the Bucks, because they're bringing it, the talent level they got in Tampa, the confidence that Baker has and the way he plays. I will not enjoy watching or listening to any of the Tampa Bay broadcasts because all they do is talk about how Mike Evans will be a Hall of Famer and blah, 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 blah. I know
true.
he will.
That's,
you don't have
that's
to tell
true.
me every week, guys.
That
it's
is
okay.
true. Yes.
Just tell me if you made the catch. Was he out of bounds? You know, tell me that. But, we get a lot of that from them, and that's fine. You got to find something bad to say about him. But, this is a winnable division, and the Falcons just need to step up and win it.
But don't you think that right now Baker, the way he has just matured, he's got his life together, he's got his faith going, and he has really stepped it up since going to Tampa Bay.
Well, you think about coming from Oklahoma, and he's tiny, right? He's an undersized quarterback for NFL standards. And then he goes to Cleveland. And, Mike, you know as well as I do, they're still counting all the quarterbacks. They've got 5 in the room right now. They haven't had a quarterback for 2 decades that has been a predominant starter, except for Deshaun. And, let's not talk about Deshaun's issues, but so Baker leaves there. He's on, 3 teams in 4 years, whatever it is, and now he's finally found his home. And this is his time. It's the prime of his life, and he's taking advantage of it rather than it taking advantage of him. So I applaud the man for everything he's done. And, he claps once or twice. He tells everybody, let's do it, and they do. And, there's reason to believe in Tampa right now.
Oh, no doubt about that. We're talking with Harper LaBelle every week here on 97.5 Glory FM, talking pro football, college football. Also, mention Deshaun real quick. Deshaun Watson, who played here at Gainesville, runner-up to the Heisman Trophy at Clemson, played for the Houston Texans, then gets the big, as I call it, Jed Clampett deal with the Cleveland Browns. He's still on the roster. How is that possible, buddy, and how are they paying him?
Well, because his money is mostly guaranteed, unless somebody wants to take that off their hands, he's under obligation with Cleveland. So he's on the physically unable to perform. It's a PUP list, and that's how they keep him in the building.
His health is still that bad. He can't play in the NFL.
Well, the most recent injury is that Achilles, and so for obvious reasons, that is incredibly serious. It has been a
ask Kirk Cousins.
Ask Kobe Bryant. He
Sure.
came back, but he wasn't the same player. Kevin
Sure.
Durant he's not the same player. You can't jump as high or move as quickly. It's a debilitating injury, and I'm not saying there are other injuries that are less debilitating, but an oblique, if we were a baseball player, is a lot different than an Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
However, they keep him on the roster. He's still getting his money, but he's not on. He will not play.
Okay, so how many quarterbacks do they have with that team at Cleveland?
Well, they traded Kenny Pickett, so they're going to keep Flacco. Dylan Gabriel is a backup, and so is Shedeur Sanders. So the 3 of them are in the room, and they are Cleveland Browns.
Okay. How much time will Shedeur say, you think?
That depends on Joe Flacco.
Good point.
If Joe wins the job, which they're not going to sit him unless he throws 6 interceptions, in his first 3 games. So,
and he's the oldest NFL quarterback since who?
Probably George Blanda.
That's what I thought.
There. Or Tom Brady, right?
Well, I didn't know about Brady. That's why I was wondering. But I automatically thought George Blanda.
Yeah, George. And remember, George had the split time with a guy named Darryl LaMonica. George was a champion with Houston in the early 60s. They won 2 titles with him in the old AFL. And then he gets let go, and the Raiders pick him up, and he has another 5 or 6 years with them as a QB, like a backup to LaMonica, and then Stabler. And, he still kicked for him in the early 70s. He kicked the extra point to take the lead in the Immaculate Reception.
How about that?
So, George Blanda was amazing. Gray hair and had those big, thick Elvis sideburns back in the day that guys had. But the tie-in with the Falcons is obviously Morton Anderson beat his record while he was a Falcon. Morton did, and
good point.
He had to in order to get to the Hall of Fame. If Morton finished second, he's the first to tell you, I would not have been inducted. No
Great
way.
point.
They wouldn't take the second guy.
Our final thing for you, and I'll turn it over to Dave in a moment. I'll take a commercial break and let Dave go and finish things up this morning. So how excited are you about the college football season?
I have to admit, the portal was a big downer for me. But now that they're playing, and we got to see some games on Thursday and then last night, and watching some of these kids that have been running around here at Georgia State, it's going to be fun. I don't know if you can overhype the Texas-Ohio State game, but ESPN's going to do everything they can to make sure that happens. But thank goodness it's at noon. Here's what I think, honestly, Mike. I think Michigan. I think Oklahoma. I think fans from Penn State are going to peak in that game for just a couple minutes to say, okay, well, this was the national championship last year. They're repeating it, and that's kind of a first. But I want to see how good these teams are. So I think there's going to be a little bit of Big Ten and SEC scouts that are going to be watching this game, as well as fans. They're going to say, let's see what we have to do to get ourselves in position where we're playing for a national championship. I'm going to watch a little bit of this game.
Because you don't want to see the same teams over and over and over again, do you? You want to see somebody else that has a chance.
Appalachian State, you've got what other big upsets have we had recently where you get
I took about 2019. Still remember Tennessee, okay?
Boise, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
When they beat Oklahoma, there's always that desire, and Indiana last year and SMU were those types of teams that you think maybe we've got a chance. But when the roster is as thick as Ohio State and Texas, it's going to be hard.
Yep. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you next week and have a great call tonight. Coming up next here on 97.5 Glory FM, we'll talk college football with Dave Cohen here on 97.5 Glory FM.
Whether it's on the football field or planning for retirement, it's important to have the right team around you to succeed. I'm Alex Schliman, quarterback for the North Hall Trojans. While I'm out throwing touchdowns, my family is assisting clients with their financial planning needs. Are you looking to retire soon, receiving an inheritance, selling a business, or simply have questions about the market? The team at Sullivan & Schliman Wealth Management is here to help. Reach out to us to make sure you and your family are surrounded by a winning team. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA and SIPC.
Summer heat is here in North Georgia, and Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. With 24/7 service for your air conditioning and plumbing repair needs, we will keep you cool, comfortable, and dry all summer long. Our family and team have been delivering reliable quality service for HVAC and plumbing when you need it for over 45 years. Give Conditioned Air Systems a call at 1-800-AC-REPAIR.
And wrapping things up here on 97.5 Glory FM, the Saturday Morning Sports Show. We now talk with Dave Cohen, who's with Harper LaBelle in Memphis, not in Oxford yet, but he'll be on his way there soon. Hey, Dave.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. About you?
Doing well. Always fun to be in Memphis for 24 or 36 hours. Harper told you we went to the world-famous Rendezvous last night, so got a half a rack of ribs. So I'm in a pretty good spot this morning.
How about breakfast, Dave?
The Georgia State Radio Network guys probably not eating breakfast today.
Ooh, okay. Eat too much last night then, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so getting ready for the game tonight. Tell me about what you expect.
Well, it's typical when a Sun Belt school plays a top 25 program. Got to get off to a quick start. Can't get down too early. I think, Lane Kiffin and the 21st ranked Rebels are in somewhat of a similar situation, only in that, they've got a lot of new players. Jackson Dart, their quarterback from last year, is now a New York Giant. So they've got a young guy, Austin Simmons, at quarterback. So they've got some questions that I know from their standpoint are looking to be answered. And for Georgia State, again, you can't get down early to a team like this that's looking to make a statement in their first game of the season. I mean, as Harper was telling you about, trying to talk about what the Falcons are going to look like, Georgia State has north of 70 new players. That's 7-0 on the roster. So they haven't played any exhibition games. I'm talking about Georgia State. So it's been a lot of inter-squad scrimmage and, practice during fall. And so I think that Coach McGee and his staff are in a similar situation. They want to see what they've got. They want to see who's going to step up. They want to see what this football chemistry is like. A Luckily, you've got experience at quarterback with Christian Veyer back. They are definitely bigger, heavier, faster, stronger along the offensive line, which is something that Coach McGee knew had to be addressed at the end of the season last year. And then you got a brand new stable of running backs. Freddie Brock, who was the main ball carrier a year ago with Michael Dukes. They're both gone. Freddie Brock's actually at Oklahoma State now. But Branson Robinson came in from Georgia, DJ Braswell from South Carolina, Rashad Amos from 2 or 3 different schools. Just 3 of the guys that they've brought in. And Jordan Simmons, who played at Michigan State and Akron and actually was in spring practice with Ole Miss before transferring to Georgia State. So, 4 or 5 brand new ball carriers playing behind a much bigger offensive line. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be interested to see. And then you get Ted Hurst back, one of the top, if not the best receiver in the Sun Belt Conference, no longer a secret. And Christian Veyer will have, Ted and a number of receivers to throw the ball to. So I think they're looking for a much more balanced offense this year, and we should be hopefully able to control tempo and control clock with a better running game.
Well, Dave, I'm interested as a fan of the skill positions, as you mentioned, but also I think for State to be successful, even tonight and all throughout the season, is what can the line of scrimmage do both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, no question. As I was doing my preparation sheets in the 15 years, Mike, that we've been doing Georgia State football, this being year 16, I cannot remember a year where at least amongst the starters, I think all 5 on the offensive line, when you go into your 2 deeps, are north of their 300 pounds or heavier.
Wow.
And that hasn't always been the case, obviously. So we'll check to see from a skill standpoint, how they're able to play against, again, a 21st ranked Ole Miss D-line, and how the D-line will be able to play against the O-line. I know one thing Coach McGee said, be playing at night, sold-out stadium, it'll be loud, great atmosphere. You've got the Grove, you've got everything going on. So they're going to try to play a lot of guys, keep everybody, keep as many fresh legs on the field at all times as possible. And once you get past those first, that first series, things tend to settle down. Players are able to block the crowd, the noise out a little bit, and, just play football.
Well, the big thing, though, David, and what Lane Kiffin does, and on the local over here, what Josh Dibble at Gainesville High does, plays fast football. And we're talking about 10 to 15 seconds from the time the ball is set ready for play. That's got to affect the defense.
Yes, and Coach McGee mentioned that on the Panther pregame show, which you'll hear tonight as part of our countdown to kickoff. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to get used to the tempo really quick. And I'm talking about Georgia State's defense, as you mentioned, because it's gonna move pretty quickly. I mean, they're going to be at the line of scrimmage. They're going to snap the ball pretty quickly. They're going to try to catch you defensively off guard. Georgia State's going to, have to be set, ready to go, aware who is where, who's on the field, where they are, and not get burned. I mean, to not give up big plays. We saw that in the Georgia Tech game in the opener a year ago. So, and you got to take advantage when the opportunities are there.
So at the same time, you can't. I think for State to have some momentum going into next week's game is that you cannot lose by 35 points. Wofford's winner might be Ole Miss, but it can't be more than 2-3 touchdowns. I'm hoping from that standpoint. I'd love to see the Panthers really make a statement early on. Hey, look at, for example, what Kennesaw State did last night with Wake Forest. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, you're right about that. They say there's no such thing as moral victories. We'll see, depending on how Georgia State plays tonight. Because you're right, the schedule is difficult next week. We'll be back in Atlanta against the Memphis Tigers, interestingly enough. And then after Murray State, you got to go to Vanderbilt. So there's really no time to pull over to the side of the road and catch your breath. Once that first series and the ball is snapped tonight, we're off and running.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. But it's 10 o'clock here at 97.5 Glory FM. That is the Saturday Morning Sports Show. WGTJ, Murrayville, Gainesville. W248DL, Murrayville, Gainesville.
I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Texas makes the first move in a